Thank you for joining us on BigCountryHomepage.com. I am Brittany Pelletz, and I have a very special guest here with us at KTAB and KRBC, as well as in Abilene. We have Mr. Perry Sook, who is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Nexstar Media Group. Thank you for being with us today.
That's a lot of titles, but thank you for having me.
There are many more too, father and grandfather and so on as well.
That's true. Those are my most proud titles. So.
Well, we are proud to have you here because this is one of the few stations that Nexstar Media Group, I'm just kidding, the largest media group broadcasting company in the United States. We are happy to have you here as the fearless leader, and tell us what brings you to town. Why are you here in Abilene?
I was invited by Hardin-Simmons University to be a part of their speaker series, and I always make it a rule that anytime I'm in town on other business, I can't leave town without stopping to visit our local TV stations, because that's the best part of my job, when I get reminded about all the good things we do and all the good people we employ. And so it's an invitation I accepted enthusiastically to come to town.
Well, we're so grateful of your time. Before we recorded this, you spent a decent amount of time with the greater staff here, talking about the future, the direction, where you've been, how we've got here. I think we also have an audience in studio with us, a group of local students. Where do you see the business going, and how we're going to attract younger journalists and retain the journalists that we have, within the Nexstar family?
I think you have to look first at the business that we're in, and it's a very simple business. It's a local service business. We produce local content that is factual, professionally produced, relevant, entertaining, informative to our local audience. And the other thing we do is we help local businesses sell things. And that's our reason to exist. And people try and clutter it all up with, well, how are you going to distribute this? And where what about digital? And what about the networks and all that? That's all interesting, but really our business is a local media content business and a local B2C, business to consumer advertising and sales business, and that's always going to be a good business to be in. And I also think that from our perspective today, Nexstar produces more hours of local news and employs more local journalists in the United States than any other news organization in the world. And so local journalism is at the core, at the foundation of Nexstar, and our goal is to continue to provide, protect, and grow local journalism in our marketplaces, because there aren't a lot of other opportunities to get the information that you want from newspapers or radio stations. Nothing against either of those mediums, but I think the last bastion of regularly produced vibrant local content is local TV, and so that's what I'm in the business of trying to grow and trying to preserve.
And as a journalist who started in this market 17 years ago, what are we doing, as a company, as a leader, to really ensure that journalistic integrity as we move forward, and grow as a company? What are you seeing the direction that we're heading in, that journalistic integrity?
Well, again, the buck stops in the local market level. We have 110 newsrooms around the country in 40 different states. So there's no way that can be quote unquote policed from headquarters, right? So it's got to be the ethos in the company that it's more important to get it right than to get it first, and that we treat our viewers and even our interviewee subjects with respect. And report the facts and let the viewers decide what decision they want to make of those. So we're not advocates, we're not spinning one side or the other. And surveys have shown that local journalism is by far the most trusted source for news and information in the country. And I think we've earned that position. I think it's our responsibility to keep it.
And speaking of keeping it, we're really, here at KTAB and KRBC and BigCountryHomepage.com, really focused on reaching all new avenues. We know that viewership habits have changed, who's watching, where they're watching, how they're watching. My job here is newly a digital anchor, so we're really treading into that new territory, not necessarily new, but expanding on it. Where do you see us going digitally, and kind of what people can expect?
Well, I look at where we are today and think, we could double the amount of digital content that we produce, double the amount of digital revenue that we produce as a company today, and that would be a good start on the future, right? And so the way I think of it is we are a local video media business, a local media content organization. Our journalism is video primarily, and we should be less concerned about which distribution channel we use to distribute that information. Is it Big Country Homepage? Is it KTAB? Is it KRBC? Is it the web page? Is it a text push alert to a phone? Is it on social media? And I say yes to all of the above, particularly if we have a relationship where we're being paid to distribute our content there, then we always make it available free over the air, but these other channels that charge you for your information or charge you to have the service, we should participate in those economics, but we should be ambivalent as to what channels we use. And for our advertisers, we should use as many of our channels, if you will, or streams, if you will, to help solve their business opportunity or their business problem, and be less concerned about how we do it, just focus on what we do, which is local content and local business services.
All right. Speaking of services, artificial intelligence, obviously hot topic. Lots of people are tapping into it, using it, exploring it. Some people are afraid of it. What do you think, I guess, the challenges or the strengths of using it in the world that we do?
Well, we use it today in business processing, reconciling invoices and payments. I think you will see it begin to work its way into the newsroom in terms of research, gathering information. We no longer have to call, all the police departments in the local marketplace to find out what happened overnight so we could find out if there's a story we should be reporting on. AI can scrape all of that information from the police logs and present it. And what that doesn't do is replace shoe leather relationships and reporting with those chiefs of police or fire chiefs or whatever. We still have to have a relationship, because you may find out what happened, but you're going to want to know why it happened, and that's where you have to have that relationship. So, and just whatever information we gather, that we research using AI, we're still going to hold to the same journalistic standards of you've got to double source the information, you've got to prove the facts before you can use that information. But in terms of the gathering of information and the gathering of data, I think it can be a tool. I do not think you'll see, well, I can tell you, as long as I'm around, you won't see a chatbot delivering your news. We're going to have real people to do that. You're not going to see a chatbot reporting your news. I think it's a tool. A lot of people today, I think, are using it as a toy, but I think, it is a tool we can use to enhance our productivity, to allow us to do more enterprise reporting, so we don't have to do as much of the mundane. But it's not going to replace you. It's not going to replace Bob Bartlett. It's not going to replace anybody in the newsroom that has a relationship in the community.
Refreshing news for sure. So thank you for sharing that insight and optimism. And again, I think it's already being used, but not replaced by what we do every day. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are more than 100 stations, approaching well over 200 on the horizon of Nexstar TV stations. What do you hope to take away when you do make these visits, to stations our size and larger?
Well, whenever I get the chance to visit one of our TV stations, I always tell people it's the best day in my business, because when we were a small company, I used to visit all of our TV stations all of the time. Now, with 13,000 employees and 200 TV stations and 110 newsrooms, it's impossible, given the pool on my time of corporate responsibilities, government relations, investor relations, and I think I'm pretty good at that. So we have other people that can visit the stations much more regularly. Still doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it a whole lot. And again, I always open with a remark, state of the company, and then I ask all of our staff members, that I did today, if you have any questions, and I will answer any question.
Open book.
And part of our ethos is we're always going to answer a question, even if it's, hey, we're a public company, I can't reveal that information just yet, or I don't know the answer to that question. I'll go get it, but we're never going to mislead our employees. I'm always going to be transparent and tell the truth, and that's the way I started the company 30 years ago, and we're not changing that.
Important lessons. I want to bring us back to our young audience who's here. What are we going to do? Things have certainly changed from 17 years ago when I was applying to my first job in television, of being willing to go anywhere and everywhere, and somebody just give me my opportunity. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Austin Kellerman for giving me my opportunity here 17 years ago. But a lot of people have, misconceptions about, you already covered the part about chatbots aren't going to be replacing on-air talent and things anytime soon. But why should young journalists seek this career, whether they're working in the news department or sales? What can you say to why they should come on board and be part of the Nexstar team in the future?
Well, listen, anybody can start a podcast, as you have. Anybody can start, any number of digital activities. We have these known and trusted brands that gives you a tremendous platform for your brand, which is yourself, your ability to have resources to work and be creative. We're not a startup. We've been in business for 30 years. And we have far superior reach to any other distribution of content using our broadcast channels and our apps and our CTV and all the other elements that are related to those. And we can promote across the platforms. Your other choice to build a business or build a career is viral. And that's tough, right? And most people go into Silicon Valley and 80% of those companies fail, and most of those people end up kind of making minimum wage when they were hoping to make a lot from the IPO that didn't happen. And so there are still those moonshot opportunities for some, but I think, again, if you are a journalist and want to express yourself, this is the place that you should come. And again, given our array of options for distribution of content, your content, now I think it's a more exciting place than it maybe was 17 years ago. It was great to be on the local news. You got recognized in the mall and the grocery store and the restaurant. Now you have the ability to reach a much younger audience that doesn't consume TV the way that I do, or the way that people, young people's parents do. They still watch. I have 3 kids that are all millennials, and they all watch a lot of TV. They just don't watch it at the appointed time that we feed it from the TV station. So we have to think about that. But that doesn't mean we can't serve that audience. We just have to serve it in a different way and on a different time schedule than, the news is at 5, 6, and 10, and so, the news happens a lot. And so if news happens and it's not 5, 6, and 10, we need to get that out there, and it needs to be through some other vehicle other than broadcast. So we're a content organization with multiple distribution channels or streams, and we need to take advantage of all of them. That's the way I would put it.
Wonderful. Well, obviously your success is admirable. We've watched being inside the business, but for people outside, Nexstar Media Group has obviously made a large name for itself. What can we speak to about where we're going and the Tegna acquisition and what that could mean for existing Nexstar stations?
Well, we're going through our regulatory processes in D.C. with both the DOJ and the FCC, so I can't really comment a lot on that other than we are respectful of those agencies. We will be providing all the information that they asked for, and particularly in our FCC filing, which will be made public once the government reopens. I think you'll see a very good public interest showing, which is the criterion by which the FCC approves license transfers. Is this in the public interest? We are operated and licensed to serve in the public interest, so we take that very seriously. But I think this country needs good, strong companies that support local journalism, because I don't think people want to see their news delivered by a chatbot that you don't know if they're of uncertain origin, and maybe you don't know if what they're saying is true. We are held to standards. We hold ourselves to standards. It's not a holier than thou philosophy, but it's like, this is the business we're in, and to do it right, we have to abide by these rules. And so I want to build more of that. I'm willing to have some regulation on content, obscenity, indecency, equal time on political candidates. Big tech and big media is not subject to any of those, right? And they're coming after our advertisers, our programming, our sports rights. And I would like to get big enough to be able to compete and build a company that has nationwide reach and not this artificial stricture that the rules that were put into place in the 40s and 70s, nothing has changed since then, obviously. I say tongue in cheek, but that's the rules we're governed by, and the rules need to represent marketplace realities, in which case you would want us to compete on a level playing field with big tech. And I think that's in our national interest. Again, when you go back to the local journalism angle, where else are you going to get, the high school football scores the night the game is played, the weather forecasts, whether your child has to wear a coat to the bus stop in the morning or whatever. The things people use us for to enhance their daily lives, and you can't get that elsewhere. There are a lot of aggregators of our content, but there are very few that produce it, that it's professional, it's fact-checked, and that's the foundation of our business. So I think that, while we will distribute on social media, while we'll distribute on digital platforms, that's, we're the creator of the content, and we have to take that responsibility very seriously.
Well, we know you take your job and role in the company and starting this nearly 30 years ago very seriously. Your passion is contagious. I think everybody who was in the studio with you just before we were recording this is feeling inspired and motivated and seeing the direction we're going and what needs to happen in order to stay going forward. What do you want people to remember about your legacy and your passion for journalism and this industry?
I think that, we've created News Nation, now a national cable network, that we're trying to deal with the center of the country, the center of opinion, offer differing views, let the viewer decide. I think what I would like people to think of as my personal legacy is he was an honest guy. He always told the truth. If he made a mistake, he owned it and moved on. Was willing to take risk, but not ridiculous risk. Or we've never entered a fight that we didn't think we had a good chance of winning. Doesn't mean we couldn't get beat, but and he built a company that not only was he proud of, but the people who came to work there every day could be proud to work there too. That would be about all I could ask for in terms of a legacy, and I think if we accomplish most of that, I will consider it a job well done and a life well lived.
Well said. And again, we can't thank you enough for your time being here, being transparent about the direction things are, where we're headed and what could be ahead, and the adventure that we're still on together. And you have big goals and things on the horizon for Nexstar Media Group.
Well, I'm glad you're along for the ride. The adventure continues.
Yes, I'm glad to be on it with you. Thank you, Mr. Perry Sook, and thank you so much for watching.